From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
I'm Jay McDonald here at Central Valley Fire, and it's time to buckle up and get into an engine as we learn all about fire safety and how this Labor Day looked.
A new workplace safety campaign aims to prevent workplace injuries and promote the use of safety equipment and knowledge. Find out more coming up.
All right, 6:30 on this hazy Tuesday morning. Chet Lehman, Matt Elbow with you here. Now you can see as the sun's coming up. Still hazy there in the Miami City.
Why in my mind am I thinking of Jane on the back of that thing, steering the back? That's what pops into my mind. Yeah, let's see.
We'll ask her.
It's called the deep tease, right?
It is, yeah.
Temperatures this morning into the 40s. We do have a couple of 30s out there, 36 in West Yellowstone. A pleasant enough morning considering we have that smoke in our skies. This is off of our Bozeman iCam near the MSU campus. 91 degrees by about 4 o'clock. It does look like it's going to be smoky and hazy, but we do have some changes. We'll take a look at that smoke forecast, chances of rain, and a big cool down. Man, we have a lot backed in. That's all coming up in just a little bit.
All right, thank you, Matt. 6:31, we're going to stay on that topic. We all experienced it yesterday, the thick smoke in the air. It's also very hot. That's leading to some very dangerous wildfire conditions. TN's Jane McDonald got a ride along with on a call with Central Valley Fire. See what that looks like.
I'm going to have you jump up here.
You got it?
Fire. 3 responding.
Year after year, we've continue to see kind of an increase in calls for service. Right now, we're trending about 10% over where we were last year.
In 2021, the Central Valley Fire District responded to 2,300 calls.
You know, we'll go an entire day without a call. The next day, we'll have, 10 or 11.
Just in the last couple of weeks, there was a wildland fire near the airport because of a loose trailer chain that burned 12 acres, and a devastating house fire from a burn barrel in Belgrade that Salome described as a complete loss. The right conditions can lead to dangerous results, and with it being Labor Day weekend, plenty of people are outdoors enjoying Montana. Now, the number of calls this weekend have been par for the course, but looking toward the future,
we're seeing kind of decreased moisture and just with the increase in temperature and the gusty winds, it's really creating kind of the perfect storm of an errant spark, an unsecured chain, or even a cigarette butt away from having a fire take off in the right spot.
Now, just because we're past the Labor Day weekend doesn't mean that fire season has come to an end. It's all about conditions, and if the conditions are right, it's fire season.
We're starting to see that where, our fire season is becoming kind of prolonged and not becoming so defined as a season anymore. We're starting to see wildland fires pop up at really anytime the conditions are right.
So the conditions that we're facing right now is heat, dryness, and a little bit of wind. Fire Marshal Salome says that those conditions are similar to what we experienced 2 years ago when the Bridger Foothill fire sparked. In Belgrade, Jane McDonald, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Jane. 6:33 now. The Montana State Fund launching a new safety campaign. It's aimed at people ages 18 to 25. Here's why. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, young workers, those between the ages of 15 and 24, are more likely to experience workplace injury. In all, 3.2 million non-fatal job-related injuries requiring emergency treatment occurred in adolescents and young adults between 2012 and 2018. And workers 18 to 19 had the highest rate for injuries. Montana State Fund, the state's largest provider of workers' compensation insurance, launching a new campaign meant to help young workers reduce injuries on the job. TN's Tom Buchanan reports.
The Montana State Fund is kicking off a new safety campaign using a line of commercials and billboards. The new campaign, known as Naked Without It, uses clever and out-of-the-box marketing and humor to raise awareness of the importance of workplace safety.
We're drawing attention to the fact that you'd never go out in public without anything on. You'd expose yourself to the elements. You'd have all sorts of exposure. But yet on the safety side, we don't cover up our eyes like we should and have eye protection. We don't cover our ears like we need to and have ear protection. We're exposing ourselves on the safety side. And so this campaign's drawing attention in a fun way.
The commercial shows the unsafe worker Gary doing tasks throughout the workplace without clothes, representing the danger of doing jobs without proper safety precautions in place. According to a report from the Montana Department of Labor and Industry, in 2019, Montanans were more likely to experience non-fatal injuries and illnesses when compared to the national average. One goal of the campaign is to catch the attention of young workers, who, according to the CDC, are more likely to experience a workplace injury.
So this is to pause, to take a moment to consider how to be safer on the job, and then to drive down the number of injuries that we have and accidents and fatalities. So this campaign is designed to increase awareness so that we can drive down injuries in Montana. And that's the number one part of our mission and what we do.
Reporting in Helena, Tom Buchanan, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Tom. The Chicago Police Department now vowing to crack down on drag racing. A new law allows law enforcement to impound vehicles and fine drivers up to $10,000. But hundreds of people are still participating in these events around the city. As Newsy's Jamal Andrus explains, Chicago is not the only city battling street takeovers.
Incredible video from Chicago shows dozens of people near downtown throwing bricks, bottles, and other objects at police. All of this following 2 straight nights and several weekends of drag racing and what police have called street takeovers, marked by crowds watching reckless driving stunts.
Just because we didn't arrest you or tow your car when the incident happened, there's video of you, and we'll prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law.
Dozens of videos popped up on social media over the weekend showing hundreds of cars blocking intersections and doing donuts on city streets overnight. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot partly blames the proliferation of these events on social media.
Their failure to be proactive in addressing these issues, to work proactively with law enforcement, is an absolute abomination.
And these videos showing large stunt driving meetups online are not unique to Chicago. Across the country, from San Diego to Detroit.
Young kids truly don't know how to drive.
Police have faced off with large crowds and cars racing or stunt driving on city streets. All of this comes as traffic-related fatalities are on the rise nationwide. According to the Governor's Highway Safety Association, 9,500 people died in the first quarter of 2022 in traffic-related incidents, marking the highest Q1 total in 20 years.
It's frustrating and sad and heartbreaking. What we saw was an increase in this risky behavior. I'm talking about speeding, impaired driving, distracted driving.
To be clear, street racing has not been formally linked to this rise in traffic-related deaths. That said, GHSA's Adam Snyder considers drag racing just one of a host of risky behaviors behind the wheel that are driving these numbers up.
Whether they are thinking about getting behind the wheel after a drink, checking that email while they're driving, breaking the speed limit, or even trying to shut down the street and drag race with some friends, we need everyone to understand that those decisions are dangerous and deadly.
In response to these incidents, police departments across the country have taken action. The Los Angeles Police Department, for example, launched a multi-agency task force specifically focused on street racing. The task force made 40 arrests and impounded 34 vehicles in one weekend. Chicago PD launched its own task force this week and says it plans to use social media footage to impound cars that are clearly identified. Jamal Andrus, Newsy.